talk, it's going to come back. There's something called cause and effect. We don't just sit around and say, yeah, we grew up watching this movie called Snow White in all these other countries, and all of a sudden you show up and we have to eliminate all the memories of these young girls who grew up wanting to have an experience like that, and you're the almighty, and this guy that started a company many years before you did, who's given you a job, you want to trash that legacy? Disney has screwed up the last 5 years trying to please a small percentage of minorities in America that are bitching and whining all the time while the majority is quiet, going about their business and raising their families, and we have to listen to those guys cry all the damn time. Yeah, we're sick of it. We're sick of this bullshit. This is...
Will we ever see you step into the Marvel universe?
I would love a job. That's all I have to say. I'll take a job, and I've obviously grew up loving Marvel movies and DC movies. If I was contractually allowed to live the best of both worlds, then I would.
Just like, doesn't sound great. Sounds like it's something a caveman would eat. Like just old bones and like, overall, right? What is that?
Not to be a hater, but have you seen Jeremy Renner lately? He's been playing it cool for way too long, but word on the street is that he's finally ready to break his silence. And trust me, we are not here to let Snow White's drama throw shade at Hawkeye without a fight. With Rachel Zegler spinning controversy like it's a full-time job, even pushing Disney to second-guess her, it's looking messy. Are we witnessing the final act of her fairy tale career? And you know what, girls? Renner's comeback could shake up the entire storm she started. Buckle up, it's getting wild.
Let me go look into this girl, and this is what he found. So this is who Disney cast to play Snow White. Rachel Z says, cancel Jeremy Renner, calling him a transphobic racist, deplatform J.K. Rowling and encourage violence towards her, bullying of Gina Carano over pronouns, says all conservatives are racist white supremacists.
Will we ever see you step into the Marvel universe?
I would love a job. That's all I have to say. I'll take a job, and I've obviously grew up loving Marvel movies and DC movies. If I was contractually allowed to live the best of both worlds, then I would.
Rachel Zegler, every time that she is in front of a camera, boy, is she just insufferable. It's been a long time since we've seen somebody just exuding so much unlikability.
She's also been making comments like this for a long time now. It wasn't just last year at D23 where she's running her mouth off on Snow White. Back in 2019, she actually viciously and nastily attacked Hawkeye actor Jeremy Renner.
I feel so bad for Jeremy Renner because he clearly said that my ex-wife said all of this for revenge, to try and ruin my career, and it's so sad to see him be accused of such bad things.
You know what, girls? Not to be a hater, but have you seen the drama that Rachel Zegler unleashed back in 2021? There's nothing I appreciate more than a bit of unexpected celebrity chaos. But this one took everyone by surprise. Out of nowhere, Rachel decided to go full throttle and called Jeremy Renner, yep, Marvel's own Hawkeye, a racist, sexist, transphobic garbage monster. And let me tell you, that rant didn't just raise eyebrows, it practically knocked them off people's faces. And if you don't know, girls, the timing of this was a hot mess. Renner was deep in a fierce custody battle with his ex-wife, Sonny Pacheco. So, this wasn't just a celebrity spat, it was a public dragging while he was already in the eye of a storm. Fans and insiders were completely stunned. Like, why was Rachel, who had zero connection to the situation, going after him so hard? The biggest question on everyone's lips, what does Snow White have to do with Hawkeye?
Renner's ex-wife says he threatened to kill her and also put a gun in his mouth and threatened to kill himself. Now, this is all detailed in new court papers. His ex-wife, Sonny Pacheco, is looking to get sole custody of their 6-year-old daughter, Ava. She accuses the actor of being on drugs and also threatening to kill himself and Sonny, and at one point firing a gun into the ceiling when their daughter was asleep. Now, a rep from Jeremy said the accusations are one-sided with one specific goal in mind.
Whoa, okay, so I don't know how the Marvel universe is even going to handle this or what's going to happen, but he should be put behind bars if that's true.
It's all one-sided right now. We haven't heard his side, so let's
true. Let's just hope that
the well-being of his daughter Ava has always been and continues to be the primary focus for Jeremy. This is a matter for the court to decide. It's important to know the dramatizations made in Sonny's declaration are a one-sided account made with a specific goal in mind. It's a troubling situation, regardless of what's true and what isn't.
How relationships and marriages get toxic?
How does it go soft from all lovey-dovey?
Oh man.
Well, it also alleged that Jeremy put a gun in his mouth, threatened to kill himself, and fired the gun into the ceiling while Ava, that's their daughter, was asleep in her bedroom. Sonny also claimed that Jeremy has a history of substance abuse, verbal and emotional abuse, and has repeatedly been under the influence when he had physical custody of a...
You know what, girls? Not to be a hater, but have you seen Rachel's wild take? Her attack on Renner wasn't just harsh, it was shockingly off the mark. Renner's ex-wife, Sonny Pacheco, had thrown out a laundry list of accusations: drug and alcohol abuse, reckless behavior, and even threats against her life. She claimed he once fired a gun into the ceiling while their young daughter was sleeping in the next room. Now, if you don't know, girls, these accusations could end anyone's career in a heartbeat. But here's where it gets juicy. None of these claims were ever proven in court. Renner fought back and poked holes in Pacheco's story left and right. At one point, Pacheco even demanded he take a drug test. But guess what? The judge shut that down, saying there wasn't enough evidence to justify it. So, while Rachel was busy dragging Renner's name on social media, the legal system seemed to be backing him up. Suddenly, this whole drama looked less like an actual scandal and more like a bitter custody battle wrapped in some spicy headlines. But Rachel? Oh, she wasn't about to wait for facts. She dove headfirst into the drama, and let's be real, made things worse for herself. It wasn't just criticism. It was like she was auditioning for Renner's job, asking, "Can I be the new Hawkeye?" as if this mess was her big Marvel moment. Then she doubled down, tweeting that the next Hawkeye should be a trans woman of color to stick it to the so-called racist, sexist, transphobic garbage monster. You know what I appreciate less than a lukewarm take? A thinly veiled career grab. Let's call it what it is. This wasn't about justice. It screamed self-promotion, and fans caught on real quick. Campaigning for someone's role while they're caught in a personal, heart-wrenching custody battle? I don't think I could ever make that mistake. Not a good look, Rachel.
Sonny Pacheco came out not too long ago and started saying that Jeremy Renner is a quote-unquote homicidal maniac, that he had threatened both her and the nanny multiple times with a firearm and even put a gun in his own mouth and threatened to kill himself. Sonny Pacheco also says that Jeremy Renner is a pretty severe drug addict and also an alcoholic, and has a habit of leaving drugs around the house where the child can get to them.
He was accused of, I don't even know. It's none of my business. It's none of our business. When someone's going through a custody battle and a public divorce, and one of those parties decides to go public, I don't care what it is. I'm not reading it.
You know what, girls? Not to be a hater, but have you seen the way Rachel's been stirring up drama on Twitter? Meanwhile, Renner kept it classy and did the one thing that hits harder than any tweet ever could. He stayed silent. When asked in an interview how he deals with public messes, Renner calmly dropped the line of the century. "I don't respond publicly or privately to nonsense. It only empowers it. And honestly, there's nothing I appreciate more than someone refusing to fuel the fire." Now, he didn't name drop Rachel, but we all knew who he meant. And that subtle move had more impact than any public clapback. Fans went wild for his composure, seeing it as a power move that made Rachel look even more unhinged. Renner's choice to stay focused on his career and his life showed the kind of grace that Rachel's wild tweets were seriously lacking. The biggest mistake Rachel ever made? Trying to insert herself into a situation she had no business being in. "Who asked you?" became the anthem under her posts as people called her out for using someone else's personal drama to score attention. It didn't help her case that Renner's own legal drama didn't tank his career the way she might have hoped. Instead, he came out stronger, while Rachel's reputation took a nosedive. If you don't know, girls, this whole situation was a lesson in what happens when you step into someone else's mess without the facts. Renner stayed focused, kept his cool, and let the truth shine on its own. Rachel? Well, her attempt to cancel him backfired spectacularly. And if she thought she could come for Hawkeye with a few fiery tweets, she learned real fast that it takes way more than that to knock down Jeremy Renner.
I had no idea what I was auditioning for when I auditioned. So it's a kind of a hilarious question to say, like, what drew you to the material? Is that, like, I didn't realize that I was reading lines with Dopey. It said, like, Jeff and Amy were reading lines. And then our director, Mark Webb, on Zoom was like, you know, and then Dopey's gonna look at you and whistle. And I took a pause and realized what I was auditioning for. And then it became like, I will elbow everyone out of the way to play the part.
Close relationship with Disney now. Could we ever see you step into the Marvel Universe?
I would love a job. That's all I have to say. I'll take a job, and I've obviously grew up loving Marvel movies and DC movies. If I was contractually allowed to live the best of both worlds, then I would.
Rachel Zegler is out of control yet again. Let's check it out.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
She's a famous millionaire in her early 20s. She's completely out of control and out of touch with how things actually are. I can't be the only one that thinks it's very odd that she's going to get paid hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, to play make-believe and then also demand for money to come to her years after the fact.
Not to be a hater, but have you seen what's been going on behind the scenes at Disney? Word on the street is that they are beyond fed up with Rachel Zegler's antics. And while Disney hasn't gone full public with an official statement, the whispers are growing louder that they're rethinking their entire strategy for Snow White. Imagine this, a movie with a jaw-dropping budget of $330 million. And now the studio's sweating bullets that it might flop harder than anyone could imagine. You know what, girls? Insiders are spilling that Disney is scrambling to shake off the backlash from critics and desperate to focus on delivering something spectacular. Turns out they were overthinking every detail, and now it's all about dialing it back to salvage what they can. And just when you thought it couldn't get messier, Game of Thrones' very own Peter Dinklage stepped into the ring. He called out the movie for what he saw as a tract. Ici, moi, by show shows prize white backwards portrayal of dwarves and threw shade at the casting of a Latina Snow White while sticking with the original storyline. That's right. Dinklage's hot take added a whole new layer of drama. And girls, if you don't know, the marketing shift says it all. Early promos had Zegler front and center, but lately, she's become a blink and you miss her feature. It's like Disney's trying to ghost her to stop even more fans from jumping ship. And honestly, the public is not holding back. Social media is flooded with savage memes, boycotts, and comments that rip both Zegler and Disney to shreds. Fans are calling her out for wrecking a beloved classic and throwing Disney under the bus for picking someone who, let's be real, seems to have zero love for the role. Oh, and remember her digs at Jeremy Renner? The beloved Hawkeye himself? Not to be dramatic, but dragging him, plus taking shots at Gina Carano and Gal Gadot, has only tanked her reputation. Instead of skyrocketing her to stardom, these feuds have done the complete opposite. Now, word is that Disney's made up its mind. They're done with her. She's reportedly been yanked from future promotions, and whispers suggest she'll be getting the cold shoulder for new projects. The irony is chef's kiss, trying to make waves in the industry only to end up washed ashore. And you know what? The timing couldn't be worse. Disney's been floundering with dud after dud at the box office. And this PR disaster isn't just a bruise, it's a full-blown injury. Even if Disney throws everything at salvaging Snow White, it's looking bleak. Fans have long memories, and Zegler's missteps have tainted the film's hype so badly, even Disney magic might not save it. Now, analysts are speculating that breaking even will be a miracle, let alone making a profit. But the real kicker? Zegler's image is in free fall. The West Side Story breakout, who once had critics raving, is now more infamous for her big mouth than her big roles. People can't help but wonder, can she bounce back from this? Or is this the biggest mistake she's ever made? Comparing her to Jeremy Renner, just makes it all more painful. While he weathered his storm with grace, she just threw fuel on hers. Renner walked away with applause and accolades, while Zegler's left, wrestling with the mess she made.
Clip that you read the quote from, but she's gone on to talk about this film numerous times, how she once thought Snow White was creepy, she doesn't like the prince, she thinks she should get paid more because she has to wear that dress, she should get paid for streaming, for every hour she has to wear the dress. I mean, talk about biting the hand that feeds you. Not only are you being casted in a classic film to remake it, but you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat, and that's why people are so annoyed, beyond just them inserting feminism. I think we expect that at this point, but why do you have to mess with a classic, especially with someone who doesn't even seem to like her own character?
There are 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
The amount of entitlement that is just being oozed. Your tough job of standing in a Snow White dress for a number of hours a day is what you deserve more and more payment for.
Who am I? And why do I exist? And who made me? And what am I expected to do with my life?
Oh my God, Rachel Zegler, please shut up. You are single-handedly killing this movie that is already dead.
Not to add fuel to the Rachel Zegler Oscar fiasco, but why did they have these women, all Disney princesses, all stated as Disney princesses, come out to present, but like not include Rachel Zegler, who's going to be Snow White? They're clearly acknowledging Disney princesses from movies that have not been released yet. Someone must have had this conversation and then they purposely left her out, even though she was the only one with a hit movie this year of the four. Did anyone else notice this, or am I overthinking?
There's a few things that makes it problematic. For one, she implies that it's archaic to fall in love, that it's outdated, that you can't be both a leader and fall in love, that the two are mutually exclusive, when that's just a lie. You can be a leader and desire to be rescued by a prince or fall in love. This just further perpetuates the feminist lie that you have to be a I don't need a man and a one-size-fits-all career woman in order to be deemed a boss babe or successful, when you can be a stay-at-home mom or a homemaker and still be a leader. The second problem is Rachel's completely entitled. Hun, if you didn't like the movie, then why did you sign up to be the Disney princess? Because you're gonna make millions off of playing a princess that you clearly don't like. Just like we aren't forced to see the movie, you weren't forced to play the character.
They decided to cast Rachel Zegler, who is Hispanic, as Snow White. Now, again, you can cast people however you want to cast people. I really don't care. However, Snow White, in which the description of the character is skin as white as snow, lips red as the rose, right? I mean, there's an actual physical description of the part. Not my fault it's written that way. It ain't racist to write it that way. That's the description of the part. That's what it is.
What Rachel Zegler is doing is actually trashing one of Disney's most beloved properties.
Disney officially fires Rachel Zegler.
They're hiring a new actress to replace Rachel Zegler.
There's a good chance Zegler will not be able to work for Disney anytime.
You know what, girls? There's nothing I appreciate more than someone who stands up for justice. But this was not it. Rachel's unprovoked swipe at Jeremy Renner had all the makings of a bold statement, but crumbled faster than a house of cards. Instead of being hailed as some champion for truth, she got called out for hypocrisy and looking opportunistic. Meanwhile, Jeremy Renner, he stayed unbothered, refusing to dive into petty drama. And let me tell you, that kind of quiet confidence hit different. He walked through that fire with his head high, and guess what? It paid off. A standing ovation at the People's Choice Awards. If that's not a mic drop moment, I don't know what is. The man's reputation didn't just survive, it thrived. Now, Rachel's situation, that's a whole other story. Her handling of Disney's Snow White saga has been, let's say, less than stellar. Instead of turning this golden opportunity into a win, she somehow managed to alienate the very audience she needed on her side. And Disney, they're probably scrambling in full panic mode, trying to pick up the pieces of this PR mess, but it might just be too late. If you don't know, girls, actions and words have serious weight in this business. Renner proved that staying classy beats empty noise every time. So what's your take on this mess? Did Rachel push it too far, or is she just getting misunderstood? Let us know your thoughts. So girls, don't be a stranger. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for our next video. You won't want to miss it. Trust me, it's going to be a wild ride.